How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Amityville Scarecrow. This is from 2021, directed by Jack Peter Mundy, and stars Chelsea Greenwood, Sofia Lacey, Amanda, Jade, Tyler, and Katie Sandison. This is another in a long line of unofficial Amityville sequels, and yeah, no, that outbuilding doesn't really look like the Amityville house. Now, if you guys are horror fans, horror geeks, you already know about the unofficial Amityville sequels, but another thing you probably know about is bad, lazy, micro-budget British horror. I don't know what they got going on over there, but these things have flooded the direct-to-video market, and whenever you get one, you always just go, oh no, not another one of these. They're all bad and almost uniformly bad in the same boring way. They do talking, just conversations, stock drama with no real feeling behind it, but talking is one of the cheaper things you can film, so let's pad out the runtime with that. The scary sequences are doled out almost begrudgingly, and they're not given the effort they need. You need to take some time and think about how to manipulate tension. Helps if the rest of the movie had the tension as well, but they do a scary scene and it amounts to a guy in a scarecrow just, coming up and pretending to kill another actor. Never crosses the line into realism, never feels tense or scary. But at least the Scarecrow finally is doing something. I remember watching this movie and getting to about the 30-minute mark and going, hey, wasn't this supposed to be a killer Scarecrow movie? Another thing, though, is some of you may have noticed, this is a British horror movie about Amityville. Amityville is in New York, but British horror will find a way. It's a family from England that inherits land in America, so that's why they're all British. Now, that being said, I wasn't sure if this was a alternate reality where Amityville was in England. Like, that's some basic info. What country does your movie take place in? But eventually they do reference going back and forth from America to England at like the tail end of this movie, so good to finally confirm that. We'll just ignore all those British license plates. This is totally in America. I'm 100% sure of it. The Amityville lore in this movie is also super jacked up and inaccurate. I'll get to that later, but it's so inaccurate. It's so bad. Almost none of the Amityville lore is correct, and I don't know why they messed it up so bad. We'll get to all that later. Needless to say, though, this is a lazy, dialogue-padded movie. None of the scares are effective, and it's super boring. Overall, it's just a nothing movie. Nothing really happens, nothing's entertaining, you just are waiting for it to be over. And, like, the movie at the end, because it thinks we're so on board with their stock drama, kind of devolves into gratuitous crying, and you're like, just end your movie. Don't keep crying, just end the movie. And they're like, you're my sister, and this is all sad. And they just cry for so long. Okay, not a great movie. The only people that should watch this are the obsessive people like me that want to watch every single Amityville movie. Obviously, you would have done this anyway, and you don't need my recommendation. But this is bad, not in a fun way, just super boring. Not the absolute worst Amityville movie ever, but there's just nothing here. It's just nothing. Anyway, let's talk a bit about the plot. I want to dig in and analyze this movie further. I don't have to go to the end to do that, so no major spoilers. But this next section of the review, I'll be talking in much more specifics, so let's dig in. We open up, we of course have to kill off prologue couple first, as every horror movie does. The guy in this couple has this weird, like, Tommy Wiseau-esque accent. I'm curious which country he's from. But they go to the Amityville cornfield, and yeah, cornfield, that's not right. But Amityville in this is just a few RVs, a few abandoned cars, and a few outbuildings. It's Amityville in a field. Woo. The prologue couple gets killed off, and one funny part at the end of this segment, their blood splashes on the Amityville cornfield sign, and you can see it's got plastic draped over it so they can clean it off between takes. And under the plastic, you can see the blood residue from the first take that they just couldn't get off. How bad was that first take that they had to use that? Ooh, whatever. Low budget filming, that happens. Anyway, we're into the main characters and into the stock drama. The main characters, two sisters and their families, and their mother just died. The mother was the one that owned the Amityville campsite, and now it's owned by the daughters, and one of them wants to reopen it because of all their childhood memories, and the other just wants to sell it, and honestly, in real life, this thing would be liquidated so fast, but one of them wants to open, and she's going to try to force that on her. But I honestly don't think she has much of a leg to stand on, because the daughter that wants to open it again stole her sister's husband. That's terrible, even though the movie's like, hey, don't you think enough time has passed, you should forgive your sister? And agree to go into business with her? And open your childhood campground? Okay. Yeah, okay. But anyway, after that, we get into stock drama and arguments to pad out most of the opening act. And then it will get abruptly forgotten about, because this isn't real drama. It was just padding. The sisters don't really come to any sort of great agreement. The one who got the husband stolen from her is just told to forgive her, and then the sisters act like nothing happened, because the drama wasn't real. When they had filled up enough runtime, they threw it away. We'll get it a little bit at the end when we get into the gratuitous crying. Anyway, the daughters have this whole bit where it's like, oh, our mothers have the problem, why can't we still be friends? And the daughters are relatively interchangeable. I forget which one goes to which mom. They find some cars, and there's a convertible that's supposedly been sitting there for decades with the top open, but has had no weather damage and the battery still works. That's how cars work. And in the car, they find a newspaper, because this movie will give you all the exposition you need in a newspaper. It will just appear and tell you whatever you need to know. And that's where we get into jacked up Amityville lore. Get this. The Amityville murders, there was a family with a different last name than the DeFeos. I don't know why they changed the last name. And the devil told 2 kids to kill their family. I don't know why they changed it to 2. But then after the murders, someone, the girl's mother, bought the land, tore down the Amityville house, which you can't do because that thing always goes back. But they tore down the Amityville house and opened a cornfield and campsite. There's no corn. The production company couldn't get corn, so they just said it never grew because of the curse. And then there was another murder at the cornfield, and the daughters don't remember much, even though it was their childhood. Cue obvious twist later. And the thing is, I don't know why they jacked up the original thing, you know? They said they tore down the house, and then when they bought the land, they named it Amityville. It wasn't Amityville already. And also, the Amityville house is in a neighborhood with like other houses around it. But this is just a totally messed up, different version of Amityville. And it doesn't even stay consistent, because later they feel the need to reiterate the story, but this time around a campfire, and the dad will only say 1 killer. Why did they mess it up? It's bad. They actually find out they're in a horror movie quicker than I thought, at about the halfway mark, and I thought, okay, is this thing going to heat up? Surprisingly, it doesn't. The movie changes very little once they know they're in a horror movie. It's nighttime now, they know there's a scarecrow, but rather than talking about drama, they talk about hiding places, and it just becomes, we're hiding now and we're still just talking. And you just want the Scarecrow to show up and kill people just to get the movie over with. Once they piece together a few things, we do get that infamous gratuitous crying, and it's like, just in the movie, quick crying and in the movie. Can the Scarecrow get here and in the movie, please? But yeah, no, it's not good. And like, you don't even know how many Scarecrows there are, because one gets run over by a car, and then another one shows up, and it's like, how many? Is it just the two? And then it's like, who's even in the Scarecrow? Is it the devil? Is it the not DeFeos? Is this the murderer from the campsite? It's just a confusing mess, and ultimately, like I said, boring drama that doesn't mean anything. I can't recommend this to anyone. The Amityville obsessives like myself are going to watch it, but they don't need the recommendations because they were going to do that anyway. It's bad, it's boring bad, not fun bad. I cannot recommend this really at all. Not the worst Amityville movie ever, but among the worst. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist at the bottom. This should be my Amityville playlist. At the time of recording, it is kind of a young playlist, but I'm working on filling it out, and I do want to get to more of these. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.